Well, hello again, Harrisburg. Thank you for joining us here on Facebook Live. Check us out also on Channel 20 and on our YouTube channel. We're here again to talk about matters important to you in Harrisburg, and our topic of discussion today is how some of our cornerstone organizations are surviving and indeed adapting in the midst of this health crisis. Got two terrific guests. First, joining us live via Zoom, we have Rosie Turner, who is the Director of Marketing and Communications for the Harrisburg Ymca. Hello, Rosie.
Hello.
And here in studio, but 6 feet away, is the Executive Director of Tri-County Community Action, Jennifer Wintermeyer.
Hello.
Hi, Jennifer. I'm
Hi.
glad you're here.
Thank you.
We're going to get to talking with each of those, but first I've got some general information I want to share. Boy, it has been quite the week in Harrisburg. We started with the governor's stay-at-home order on Monday, and then last night, a little bit of good news. We inaugurated the new Pennsylvania Hope Tree right here in downtown Harrisburg. If you go to the Walnut Street pedestrian bridge, you'll see the lovely old 60-foot tall sycamore tree there, and it's been decked out with over 12,000 lights, all sorts of different colors. You can see it from as far away as the 83 Bridge and the West Shore. And the hope is that it will shine a little bit of light in these dark times and inspire some hope. It's something that you can view from the safety of your car if you're just driving down Front Street, or if you're out for a walk, which we do encourage in Riverfront Park. Check out the PA Hope Tree. And if you go to pahopetree.com, you can make a donation to help families in need in the midst of this crisis. That, again, is pahopetree.com. All the lights, all the labor, everything was donated free of charge to the city of Harrisburg, and it's meant as a gift to the community. Also, in the realm of positive news, our community policing partnership is continuing with the Harrisburg School District. The latest from Blake Lynch is that the distribution continues to go well, and that they will be out again today from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m., again Friday, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m., at the 6 schools where they have been for the past several weeks. Those are Foose, Rowland, Downey, John Harris, Ben Franklin, and the Cougar Academy, which is near the administration building there on State Street. There will be plenty of food. It is available to anyone in need. You do not need to show ID or be a Harrisburg School District family. So come on out, and if you need food, avail yourself. I want to thank the Central PA Food Bank for all of their hard work, and again, the Harrisburg School District for working with our community policing team. This week, as promised last week, we rolled out 10 new sinks in our parks and playgrounds throughout the city. You'll find them now at the 4th and Emerald Playground, the Cloverleaf Heights Playground, Royal Terrace, 7th and Radnor, Italian Lake, in addition to Reservoir Park and a couple more in Riverfront Park. We have not shut down our parks, and I know I've gotten some questions about this. We are encouraging people to go out and take walks and recreate. Just obey social distancing guidelines. And we have not had a problem. Our park rangers have been out in all of our parks, and if they see a larger crowd, they will warn people and ask them to disperse. But everyone has been, for the most part, complying with our social distancing guidelines in Harrisburg, and we want to try and keep our parks open for people to recreate and get exercise. We also established some new portable latrines to deal with our growing homeless crisis in Harrisburg this past week. You can find them below the I-83 overpass near Shipoke, near the Mulberry Street Bridge at 10th Street, over by Blackberry and River Alley. And I want to thank our partners at Harristown and the DID for establishing comfort stations also at Market Square, and I believe there are some new stations now at 333 Market Street. So there's a real community-wide effort to provide proper facilities and hygiene opportunities for everyone, including the homeless, throughout Harrisburg and in different neighborhoods. Wanted to take a minute this morning because there are a couple deadlines on the business front and talk to the business community. It's, I know, continues to be a difficult time. Today is the state-imposed deadline this Friday at the end of the day for getting a waiver. If your business was listed on the governor's list of non-life sustaining businesses, meaning it was asked to close, and you feel that it is engaged in life-sustaining activities, you have to request a waiver in writing through DCED, the Department of Community and Economic Development at the state, and the waiver deadline is today. For the most part, we have not had a problem in Harrisburg as well with businesses remaining open despite the governor's order, but today is the deadline for the waiver. Today is also the first day that you can apply for what's called the Payroll Protection Program. And this is a powerful, powerful part of the federal stimulus, which is open for small businesses throughout Harrisburg. It does require you working with your lender, with your bank. Maybe it's M&T, which is one of the largest in the country. Maybe it's others. But if you work with them, you can find help for sustaining your payroll or hiring back people who you've had to lay off your payroll. It's called the Payroll Protection Program, and it's opening up today. But the loan program I wanted to talk to you in greater depth about today is something called the Emergency Economic Injury Disaster Loan. It's a way to get quick cash into your business. It's sponsored by the Small Business Administration, and this is a terrific opportunity that really every business in Harrisburg should be applying for and taking advantage of. Like many of these programs, it's a first come, first serve, but this is a very well-funded program that currently has resources. And anyone can do it, anyone can apply, and you can probably apply in less than a half an hour. It doesn't require a lot of the process, which, say, the Payroll Protection Program does. And you can even apply for both of those. Some businesses may want to apply for both. It's called the Emergency Economic Injury Grant or Loan Program, and it can provide an advance of up to $10,000 to small businesses and private nonprofits that have been harmed by the COVID-19 crisis. You have to apply through the Small Business Administration, so you apply directly to them. You do not have to go through, say, CREDIC or DCED. You can apply directly to the SBA. Here's who's eligible: businesses, sole proprietors, independent contractors, cooperatives, employee-owned businesses, as long as you have fewer than 500 employees. Also, private nonprofits. And basically, the loan is going to be based on a credit score of the applicant or an appropriate method of determining the applicant's ability to repay. Basically, the federal government is guaranteeing this, so the banks don't have to. And you can access up to a $10,000 advance. And here's the best part. That $10,000 advance does not need to be repaid as long as it is used for certain eligible expenses. And that can include paid sick leave to employees unable to work, maintaining your payroll, meeting increased costs, or making rent or mortgage payments, repaying obligations that cannot be met due to revenue losses. And the SBA will grant the funds. So the easiest way to, it almost sounds too good to be true, but the easiest way to do it is to go through a link to the Small Business Administration. You can actually call them directly if you have questions. The SBA number is 1-800-659-2955. You may want to consult with your accountant if you have an accountant, but the type of information that you need to apply is really something that every small business probably has. You're going to need to know your gross revenues for the year prior to January 31st, 2020. And even if you've only been open for less than a year, whatever you have, you'll submit. You'll need to know your costs of goods sold for that same period of time. You'll need to know your corporate name, your ID number, all your address, social security numbers, that sort of thing. The date the business was established, how long the current owner has been there, and the number of employees for the business as of January 31st, 2020. But that's really about it, and it is a possibility for receiving up to $10,000 quickly as a grant, not a loan, and then access to potential additional loans moving forward for your business. So I encourage everyone in Harrisburg to apply for Emergency Economic Injury Disaster Loan, EIDL, directly through the SBA. Those are all of our bookkeeping announcements here to begin with, and I now want to turn to the conversation at hand. Rosie, we're going to start with you, and we're going to talk about the Harrisburg YMCA, which I think everyone probably realizes, but in case you don't, one of the core missions of the Y when it was founded originally was to provide housing. And if I could begin, can we talk about how is that housing is that continuing, and how are you sustaining it in this difficult time?
Absolutely, yeah. Thanks for including us in this conversation. I think it's exciting to talk about that particular mission and some of the other things that we've really been working on during the shutdown. So thank you for including us. The East Shore YMCA on North and Front Street in Harrisburg, a lot of people know as a gym, a beautiful gym that overlooks the river. But to 86 men in Harrisburg, it's home. And our dormitory style residence is one of the last remaining dormitory style residences maintained by a YMCA in the nation. It's very, very important to us. That beautiful historic building was built to be a home. And the folks that we have there, all kinds of different situations, but affordable housing is part of the mission that we have retained for over 160 years. So when we first started hearing about different things coming out, our very first instinct was, how do we these men are not going anywhere, how do we help them? And the first thing that we thought about was food availability. So a lot of them don't have access to transportation. They might not have access to food outside of the restaurants that are in downtown Harrisburg. And a lot of them live very closely to those paychecks that they're making. And we knew that a lot of them would be classified as non-essential workers, unfortunately. And so with help from the Pennsylvania Food Bank, our Camp Curtin YMCA actually is able to bring boxes of food to those men. And also our amazing staff, and I'm going to talk a lot about our staff today, the amazing staff of the East Shore YMCA jumped in right away and out of their own pockets provided hot and cold meals for the men on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday cycle. The men who live there are very grateful for the things that we're able to do, but there's so much more need than just the things that we can provide alone. And so we did establish a Text to Give campaign for the residency program, and we have been able to raise funds so that we can relieve the burden of some of the things that the folks at the Y who said, we don't know where this money is going to come from. It's going to come from me. We can reimburse them, and we can start to help them, provide the food resources that those men need. We've also been working on continuous sanitation of the dormitory, helping the men monitor their temperatures, helping them understand and giving them resources from the CDC about the risks of the disease and things to look for, doing wellness checks, and trying to get them access to healthcare workers. So I think I love the question, because I know that a lot of people look at the Y one way, but truly there's so much more than meets the eye, especially in the case of the residents.
Yeah, so I'm glad to know that your housing mission is continuing. And what other types of services and activities are continuing even while the Y has closed its doors in some respects to the public?
It's really amazing in a day and time where we have so much access to technology that a YMCA, which is a brick and mortar entity, can take the mission that they do on an everyday basis, and they can just break out into the community and offer so much more. Our YMCA Center for Healthy Living, which provides our Live Strong at the YMCA program for cancer survivors, the blood pressure self-monitoring program, our YMCA diabetes prevention program, their Healthy Weight and Your Child program, and also the Freedom from Smoking program. All of those core programs continue. And I think what's really important to note about all of those segments that I just talked about, cancer survivorship, people with heart disease, people with diabetes, those are people who are very at risk during this time, and they've been in isolation probably a lot longer than most of us. And so by bringing our communities through Zoom meetings, one-on-one calls, wellness checks, things like that, we've really been able to continue that socialization aspect that they've been enjoying throughout the year so far. And the Center for Healthy Living works with Pennsylvanians, not just in Harrisburg, but in multiple counties. And so by continuing that mission and by helping people feel connected, we've gotten a lot of really beautiful feedback about what that means to those populations who otherwise would be completely isolated and unfortunately would have no way to socialize or to kind of feel the effects of the emotional trauma that being separated for somebody who's already been through a lot of physical trauma can bring. So I think that that's very important to note, that we're continuing all of that and supported by wonderful partners. Also, our Camp Curtin YMCA has programs for mentoring and social emotional learning that they've been able to provide through Google Classrooms. So a lot of the kids who are out of school right now are doing a lot of their learning online, but there's special things that happen at the Camp Curtin Y as far as providing mentors, giving those children a chance to really express themselves in a different way than in a classroom setting, and giving them tools and skills to really manage their own emotions. And at a time where they're very, very disrupted, their routines have been disrupted, their lives have been disrupted, and now all of a sudden they're expected to just really change how they are. That social and emotional learning does continue. And I think that it's really critical at this time to make sure that kids have that outlet and are given those tools to make sure that they can continue to grow and thrive in a healthy way.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. Now, I know some of this information. I get my daily Stay Active email from you all. And one thing I would recommend to folks is they sign up for your email. How do they do that?
So if you go on our website, there's a big purple bar and it says sign up to receive updates from the Y. The minute you sign up, you're going to get a daily email from the Y with tools and videos and things for your kids to do, things for you to do, and also helpful resources from the YMCA to get connected to other services.
Yeah, it's terrific, and it's filled with links. Can we talk a little bit about maybe some of the fitness fun that occurs? Even though the gym is shut down, there are ways for people to stay active and healthy as well.
Yeah. And this has been a really exciting development. I love my coworkers. They're so creative and they're so thoughtful. And one of the things that our fitness professionals said to me was, oh my gosh, I'm going to miss my members so much. And they do, and we all do. But they really wanted to give back and say, I want to get people moving at home. I want to make sure that my people are taken care of. And if I can give a gift, then I want to do that. So we've been collecting daily videos from our staff and formatting them and putting them out there so that you can work out along with your favorite Harrisburg YMCA instructors. We've also been using a tool called the YMCA 360, which is a tool that we've gotten out of collaborating with other YMCAs nationally. Out of 4,000 YMCAs in America, we've been able to come up with some really cool video resources. So if you're sitting around your house and you feel like you're about to crawl out of your skin and you need something to do, there's so many resources through the YMCA 360, and then also through our daily emails and our YouTube channel. And I think it's really important that people remember that physical health is a part of mental health, and getting moving every single day and, making it a point, even if you don't feel like it, get up, get moving, do something you love, something you connect to. We're providing those resources. You don't have to be a member to receive them. So if that's something that you want, then we want to connect you with that. And we're really grateful to have that opportunity.
Thanks, Rosie. This is all so important. If people want to help, how can they help? Maybe one suggestion I might have is if you're a member of the Y, as our family is, maybe consider not letting your membership lapse during this time, and stick and realize that all this is going on. All these services are being provided, and I know you count on those membership dollars. But how can people help?
Yeah, and I think thank you for raising that point, because we know that there's folks out there that are facing unemployment, that are facing hardship, and we totally understand that. And we want them to proactively reach out to us. If you need to cancel or hold your membership, we want to help you do that. But you have to contact us as soon as you can. We are staffing the phones as we're able. But also all of our email addresses, we'll answer as much as we can, as quickly as we can. But if you are blessed to be able to keep your employment and the Y is something that you can continue to support on a monthly basis, we just could not be more grateful for that support. And it really is looking at the way our members have responded. So many of them have said to us, we see the services that you're providing, and we want to stick with you through this hard time. So thank you for bringing that up. There's so much more need out there than we can possibly get to. We're working, with the Central Pennsylvania Food Bank through our Camp Curtin YMCA, our Northern Dauphin County YMCA, providing daily and weekly food boxes, hot and cold meals, outside of just the folks that we are collaborating with for the East Shore Y. Our West Shore YMCA continues to try to hold social distancing blood drives. The need for blood is really, really high right now. If you can give blood, that's really, really great. But just being aware, I think, is really the biggest gift. Looking around your community and saying, what are the things that I am blessed to have, finding those moments of gratitude, and then finding the ways that you can give back personally. Maybe you can't give back financially, but you can find a blood drive and you can give blood. Or maybe you can give some time in a safely social distanced food drive to be able to package food to give out to folks who are less fortunate. Just be aware, look around, and take those little, I try to have a moment of gratitude every morning. And today I was just really grateful for all the things that our community does and my ability to be able to just be a part of it. So that would be what we would ask.
Okay, thank you, Rosie. Jennifer, I'm going to turn to you, and we're going to talk a little bit about Tri-County Community Action, and maybe we should start the same way, which is how is Tri-County continuing to adapt and change and offer services in the midst of this crisis?
Sure. I think, like a lot of our nonprofit helping agencies in the community, we are finding a new normal. With about a one-day notice, we moved 100% of our operations to a virtual environment. We moved all of our staff to working remotely, but we did it without any interruptions in our program or services. And my hat's off to our team. They are the most incredible group of people who were able to do this. Who were able to make makeshift offices in their homes, who were able to balance homeschooling their children while also continuing to be helpful to our community. So our staff are able to answer the voicemails. If you leave voicemails at any of our offices or with any staff member, they are checking them. They are able to receive their emails. We are able to process PPL on-track applications as they're received. All of our client-based programs, our home visiting is all virtual, so we are maintaining that connection and that sense of normalcy for the folks that we work with, and we are in the process of turning all of our group programming into also virtual environments. It's challenging when you're an agency that depends on relationships and working closely with people and literally walking hand to hand with folks when we can't be near each other or touch. But we're doing it, and we're finding ways to make sure it continues to happen, because we know the more we can support our families now, the more we can help prevent a crisis situation down the road. And this is tough times for everybody. And so we are there, and we continue to be partners with our community.
Okay. Now, you mentioned On Track,
Yes.
and that's something we should talk about a little bit. I know that people, at least we've been trying to get the message out to folks that not only will they not be evicted during this crisis time, but also they will not have their utilities shut off, whether it's gas or electric or water, or the city will continue to pick up your trash. This is going to continue. But at some point after this crisis, people are going to have to get back on track with their utility companies. So tell us about this program. What is it? How do people learn more?
So the On Track program is for PPL customers who are at or below 150% of poverty. And if you don't know if you are, on our website is a handy dandy little scale that you can look at your family size and see if you are at that income threshold. And what it basically is it's a customer assistance program. So you receive a reduced payment for a period of time so that you could get back on track, get back on your feet, and get to a normal billing program at some point. We strongly encourage folks, because we know people are losing their jobs now, we know people are facing unemployment, we know people are facing financial hardships. We strongly encourage people, if you think you may miss utility payments, or if that's one of the things that is something that you have to stop paying right now so that you could buy food or some other supply, please apply for On Track sooner rather than later. Don't wait till the utility companies begin disconnecting and you have a huge past due bill, or don't wait till you receive a disconnection notice at some point in the future. We are processing those applications as soon as they're received. People can take a picture on their smartphone and email us all their stuff. They can apply through our web portal. They don't have to have any contact. They can mail us our applications. We're still checking our mail. But with any of these programs, it's okay to say, I need a hand up during this time. Take advantage of these programs, but don't wait till it's a crisis.
Yeah, it's actually a really good time to apply for something like that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Another thing which you're known for is your first-time homebuyer classes. How have they been impacted, and are they still continuing?
Yeah, so unfortunately, we did have to cancel our April classes. That is, again, a very relationship-based 9-hour workshop series that folks go through, but we also know that life goes on. There are people in the queue and in the process of becoming homeowners in the city, and we want to encourage that. So we are working to move our first-time home buyer class to a virtual through a Zoom medium or some other virtual medium where folks can participate and still get all the great information. And we are hoping to launch those as soon as May. We get about 20 to 25 folks a month who go through that class, so making a cancellation really pushes folks back. People tend to enroll 3 to 4 months in advance before they buy a home, which is what we want you to do. So we want to make sure we get that in a virtual way that you can still access the experts and our housing counselors and make it happen.
Good, good. And then what other types of programs or services do you provide for people who are experiencing housing insecurity or unemployment now, and how are you coping with the demand?
Sure. So all of our case managers and all of our parent educators are at the queue and ready and willing and able to assist. So we know a lot of folks are going to be looking for, again, those assistance programs. How can they access LIHEAP? How can they access On Track, unemployment, other assistance programs that are out there? Our case managers are able to assist with all of those. For folks who are needing to still file their tax return, we're able to assist with the myfreetaxes.com website through partnership with the United Way. For folks that have little ones at home, pre-K, education for pre-K needs to continue, so our parent educators are still able to do that parenting education and those visits virtually. So a lot of what we're able to do is essentially, again, not at this time provide those emergency services, but we can help you connect to them, and then once you're connected to them, we can work with you so that you don't become dependent on them, so that you are able to move back to a place of stability and ultimately self-sufficiency.
No, that's terrific. All right. So is there like a one-stop number or a means of getting in touch with you?
There is, and it's actually a national number, and is available in every community in Pennsylvania, especially Harrisburg. It's 211. If you don't know what 211 is, it is an one-stop information referral hotline. It's staffed by live people 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You're able to call them, or you can text your zip code to 898-211, and you're able, they will connect you. You can tell them what your situation is, and they will connect you to resources in your neighborhood. So if you are somebody who might not know where to get COVID-19 information, if you might not know, you never needed a food pantry before, but now you need some assistance for getting food. You might be a senior that has some questions. Any human services need you have, 211 is that one-stop phone number to call, or again, text 898-211.
Okay, that's terrific. So 211
Yes.
for your human services questions, not to be confused with 311 for the city, which is
Exactly.
a great one-stop way to have your questions
Absolutely.
about city services answered. The other thing associated with you is some of the big events that you put on a regular basis, the Greater Harrisburg Litter Cleanup, the Multicultural Festival, the Seed and Plant Giveaway. What's happening there?
So I'll go through event by event. The first is the Harrisburg Litter Cleanup, which is typically every April
Right.
around Earth Day. Last year, in a matter of a few hours, several hundred volunteers picked up over 25 tons of trash off of our city streets. We know this is an incredible event for our neighbors, our neighborhoods, so we have postponed it until September. Unfortunately, there's just not a safe, socially distancing way to do it now, but it is postponed to September, so it will be happening.
Good to know it's still happening.
It is still happening. The plant and seed giveaway we do with the Harrisburg urban growers and Tri-County OIC is canceled. However, prior to the stay-at-home orders, we had planters and growers that literally planted thousands of seedlings. And so we are going to be working through our food pantries and some of our community partners to find a socially distancing way that we can get those seeds and those starter packs to folks in the springtime. I think this experiences remind us all how important it is to grow food at home and have a garden and have something that's sustainable. So we want these plants to be used and not go to waste. So we will find a way to get those thousands of plants into people's hands. Unfortunately, the Multicultural Festival, which brings together over 1,000 neighbors in South Allison Hill and dozens of vendors, there was just no way that we thought we could do it in a COVID-19 world that we're in right now. So we did go ahead and cancel it for this year. We already have next year's date. It's already on the calendar. We're already starting to plan next year's. But the Multicultural Festival, unfortunately, had to be canceled.
Understood. Yeah, the city had to take the steps this past week to cancel the physical version of Arts Fest
Right.
as well, although we're looking forward to having a virtual Arts Fest and
Yeah.
spotlighting different artists and doing things
Right.
like that, encouraging
Good.
e-commerce. So final question then for people watching, if they, we know how they can get information, but if they want to help specifically Tri-County Community Action, make a donation, how can people get connected and how can they help you
Sure.
with your mission?
So you can connect to us for that through our website, both with volunteer opportunities and donations. One of the emerging needs that we are seeing is, I think, especially for middle-class families who have tablets and laptops and all kinds of technology devices at home, to have kids at home who need to homeschool right now and maintain work and do Zoom meetings. We have all of that equipment and we have Wi-Fi, but to our low-income and most vulnerable neighbors who don't have access to the technology or whose only access to the internet might be a cell phone, technology is an emerging need that we're seeing. So if you have older but still usable laptops or tablets at home, this is a great time to have those donated and put into the hands of folks who would really appreciate and need them. But there are also other ways that you can donate and connect with us, and that's all available through our website.
Great. And so if we did have some old laptops or things we wanted to donate, how would we drop them off?
Yeah, well, not drop
Okay.
off, call ahead,
Uh-huh.
and we'll make sure that we have folks that are available who can receive them in a socially distancing and safe way. We want to make sure that we keep all of our neighbors healthy. As far as capabilities of them, if they're able to connect to the wireless internet, and if they can get onto essentially Chrome or Google type Google Sites. So folks can do a tremendous amount through video chat through Google Sites. So they don't need to be super fancy. They don't need to have tons of programming, but it's a great way to get unused technology in the hands of people who really desperately need it
No,
right
I know.
now.
I think there are probably many people who would like to help in that way. So,
Yeah,
at
absolutely.
any rate, call or email Tri-County Community Action for more information
That's right.
about how you can do that and how we can get those materials in the hands of people who need them.
Yes.
Well, Momin, this has been a great conversation with lots of good information. Do you have some questions for us from the public?
Yes, let's start with a comment of appreciation. Michelle writes regarding the food distribution, the boxes of food have helped me and my family so much. So we appreciate everybody commenting and asking their questions online. We have a general question about COVID-19 cases in the city limits. How many cases are in the city limits is a question by Mike. And our understanding is that it's broken down by county by the Department of Health?
Yeah, we don't have a breakdown other than for Dauphin County as a whole. And it's a growing number. It's a serious number, and it is something which is nationwide. It's not just Pennsylvania. But we've really been, I think, at the forefront. Our governor, Governor Wolf, has been at the forefront of governors in imposing the stay-at-home order and the social distancing regulations, and that's really the only way to slow the spread of this virus, and it's the best way. So people should continue to stay home as much as they can, stay safe, and use this time really to hopefully connect with families and with their own families.
Okay. I believe that may be the only question we have pertaining to this discussion, but Facebook comments can still come in afterwards, and we'll reply afterwards. So.
Yes, that sounds great. And I think we got some terrific information. So, Rosie, I'm going to come back to you, and if there was something that we didn't talk about, but you'd like to convey to the public, now is the time.
Ooh. I really hit a lot of the things that I wanted to make sure that everybody knew. Just again, ymcaharrisburg.org if you need us. We've got an entire page on there. It's the first thing that pops up on the site. Go ahead and click through. Lots of resources. We do reference the 211 number there so that people have access to that. And really, we're here, we're listening. And if there's anything that anybody needs from us, we really want to make sure that we're available for that. So just thank you again. And, keep hanging in there, everybody.
Okay, and sign up for that newsletter as well, because it's filled with great information. And Jennifer, what are some things that emerging needs maybe that you see that maybe people aren't aware of?
Yeah, so I think lifting up the idea of technology is an emergent need that we are seeing. But I think you alluded to it earlier, Mayor, is that although evictions and foreclosures and utility disconnections are put off for now, those bills are still racking up. And at some point, we know that there are families that are going to need some assistance with catching up those past due balances through no fault of their own that are happening. We want to make sure that that folks are able to, again, remain housed and remain stable. So we actually have a twice-a-week all-agency Zoom call with all 40 of us. It's kind of a crazy Brady Bunch screen if you know Zoom and everybody's little picture. And we talk about these emerging needs and what we can do to help. So we're here if folks are having a challenge that we don't know of, please give us a call. We have deployed some funding that we will hope will be very flexible and can help address some of these identified needs as we think about recovery. Because once we all return to work at home at some point, hopefully in the semi-near future, we know that this is going to take a lot of our most vulnerable families some time to come over. So we want to talk about recovery and make sure that we're responsive to those needs in our community.
Okay, well, thank you very much, and thank you all for watching at home. Next week, just to plug, we're going to have the city's Economic Development Director, Ms. Nona Watson, and Impact Harrisburg's Executive Director, Sheila Dow Ford, on to talk about what will hopefully be a new partnership to provide small businesses and others that are struggling with grants via Impact Harrisburg. So that'll be next week at noon, just to plug there. As you see, we've had a number of valuable conversations already, whether it was emergency responders or the school district or social services and community organizations. If you have comments or ideas for future Facebook Live broadcasts, we'd also welcome you sharing those in the comments of this video now, and we'll take those under consideration. So again, thank you for watching, and tune in next week for Community Conversations at noon every Friday during the coronavirus crisis.